gonna hit the record. Well, everybody, it's good to see you guys. I know we got a light crowd today. It is the first week in June, I should say. Um, Sorry about having to jockey the this week's meeting, but I did have a unplanned commitment that popped up, and I collided completely overlapped our normal meeting, so I had no choice but to move it. So anyway, thanks anyway. And yeah, every so often we'll get a light crowd, and that's the way it is. The show must go on. So uh but in terms of announcements, there's not a whole lot. I'll end up actually repeating the announcements I gave at the last meeting. But at any rate, the name of anyone who may be listening to the recording later, on June 14th, there will be the Vintage Radio and Communications Museum of Connecticut swap meet, and that'll run Saturday the 14th from 8 to 1 p.m. And then on the same day, so there's a conflict, there is the New England Wireless and Steam Museum fourth annual Wheels and Wireless Car Show. So if you like cars and you like wireless radios, no better place than go there. And they'll run from 9 to 3 on Saturday. So I guess really it depends where you are located and what you're hankering to do that day. And of course, more importantly, it depends whether the weather is going to cooperate. And then on Sunday, the 15th of June, will be the next Flea at MIT Swap Fest at the usual place. And that runs from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. as well. And reasonable chance that you might find Tom Pereira there. And that's all the real announcements. I don't know if anybody has anything to add to it in terms of anything else. We got Ross. Ross is going to be joining. He did email me, so we have Ross will be joining us. And I know I should have. I was late to the game, but I will say hello to Bill and Isaiah, and of course we got Ross. Ross decided to pop in and say hello.
Good evening.
Good evening. Wow, it's quite the. Hey, there I am.
Wow, look at that.
I just blew my mind. And we got some clocks back there, so it's good seeing you, Ross. I mean, we just were starting. We've been sort of just shooting the breeze here in the meeting, but I thought we'd actually get things rolling and do our usual
Okay.
round robin. And who knows, and maybe Bob will show us some at the end, some pictures from an upcoming auction of stuff coming up for sale, or auction, I should say. So, how are you out there in Whitman?
What the heck happened to my picture here? Hold on, something went wrong.
Uh-oh.
There it is. Okay, it switched screens on me. Things here in Whitman are okay. It's warm out. I got the AC blasting here in the shop. Um, I need to go out and roll up the window on my car. I left it down this morning, so I might disappear for a couple minutes.
Sure.
But I tried to join earlier, but I was on my laptop and the Wi-Fi connection to it is sketchy. Works great every place else except here at home, but this computer is hardwired in, so it's okay. And I'm using a device called an owl.
Owl.
So if I move over here and start talking over here, it'll move and find me. I don't know if you see
Ah.
that. If I go over here,
Oh, look at this.
it'll move around.
Wow, look at that. That's
It'll find me over here. Testing 1 2. Oh, it's not doing it now.
now there's a lot of
Yeah,
goodies in that shop.
Maybe it's a union owl.
yeah, that
It could be on a coffee break.
could be. So, very good. I'm going to run out to my car for a couple minutes. I'll be right
Okay.
back.
Well, that's
All
fine.
right. Have fun.
No problem. Well, at any rate, so I don't know. Wow, that is really cool.
That's neat.
So I don't know if anyone had any other announcements I failed to bring up in terms of events. Um, but if not, we can sort of get started, start slow rolling this a bit, and Ross, I'm sure, will join in and have lots of tales to tell us. Plus, you just look at all the clocks, which I know he's repaired back. Oh, there I am. Whoa. There's a little bit of a delay. That's pretty cool. But anyway, well, it's, entertainment. But at any rate, so hey, why don't I just sort of go around the virtual table here and see what people are up to here. So, hey, Russ, what have you been up to? How things going?
You talking to me?
I am talking to you. Oh, well, no, it
Oh,
was actually Russ, not Ross. Sorry about
oh,
that.
okay. I'll
Russ,
be right there.
I think you're,
Oh,
oh, you're already,
sorry,
that's all
Busy
right.
work.
sorry, John. I've got an unstable connection here, so I didn't even hear you.
Well, you have an unstable group, so that's okay. You're fitting in.
It matches me. Um,
So what's going on in your neck of the woods?
no, nothing new here. I on Lyme disease, just kind of recovering from that. So
Oh,
my
I didn't know you had that. I'm
back,
sorry to hear that.
yeah, I didn't either until after 11 hours in the ER. They figured it out.
Ugh.
So no real radio work for me. No real anything for me. So you can pass this along. Just public service announcements. If you're walking a dog or out in the yard, check yourself for ticks. They're on.
Yeah, since we're sort of on the topic, a couple of friends of mine, they went to lunch, out for lunch, and there you could, there's a trail, like a little bit of a grassy trail from our building to like a sub shop, and they walked through there. Well, they came back, and one of the guys had ticks on his shirt, and it's like, huh, I never thought twice about that, but yeah, they both of them actually came back with ticks on there. They were able to get it off. They weren't actually on their skin or anything, but it was like, geez, I know what's going on here, but
He went out for a bacon, lettuce, and tomato. I ended up coming with a bacon, lettuce, and a tick.
yeah, exactly. A little extra
That's
protein on
not
that
good.
sandwich. No, so you got to watch yourself. Yeah, it's a good point, Russ. So you can't take anything for granted anymore.
No, I guess they're pretty active right now, from what I've heard.
It's good to know. Yeah, I could be attentive. I usually keep myself reasonably covered. I rarely ever wear shorts in New England, no less out in about doing stuff around the yard because I just don't want to take any chances. Plus, you got mosquitoes to add to it, so you got the double trouble. But yeah. Well, I hope you feel better. Good. Glad to
Yeah,
hear you're on
thank
the
you.
mend.
I think I'm on the mend.
All right, good to hear. So,
Yeah.
hey, Noah, what's out in Texas going on
Well,
for you?
a couple of things. I mean, I've been doing, it's a seasonal kind of hobby though. So since the weather's been so good for so long, I've been doing more outdoor things and car related things and not as many electronics things. But the other day we did have some rain where I was actually able to try out that goofy sort of MIG welder type
Oh
soldering iron
yeah.
thing. I fixed a pair of headphones that I had that had sound only out of one side and not on the other. So I traced where the break in the wire was, and I was actually able to use the third hand kind of thing. I held on to the wire that was, mechanically connected together. And then I was able to one hand it with the gadget, pulling the trigger to feed the solder to make that solder connection. And it worked on wire like that. I'm still not so sure that that would work if I was like on a circuit board trying to hit, a tiny landing spot. But for something kind of crude like just soldering some wires together, it actually worked. I was somewhat stunned, but but it actually
Hey,
it worked as advertised.
and that was
Um,
a fairly modest investment, wasn't it?
it was like $20
Uh,
or something for the thing, and it came with like sort of like driving gloves. I don't know, soldering gloves you were supposed to put
wow.
on, and two spools of solder, and a bunch of different little tools and tweezers and things that, But
It-
anyhow, it worked. It may be
the-
the last time it works. I don't know, but it worked for that. Um, then there was another thing. Oh yeah, and then I can't remember if I mentioned this in a prior meeting or not, but I thought it was interesting in the process because I have too large a collection of 45 RPM records that were like from that period of my life, like, pre-teen to early teenager, like before LPs became the thing and FM radio and all that. So it was more like early to mid 60s pop and Motown, and a lot of like one hit wonder kind of stuff, like Needles and Pins by the Searchers and Telstar by the Tornadoes and
Oh, that's a great song.
Judy in Disguise, and a lot of the Trogs with Wild Thing and all this kind of music that I had the 45s. So we'd go to Woolworths to the cutout bin or something, and they were like 25 cents a piece or something, for the 45. So I decided I was going to, I guess what you would do nowadays is go out to something someplace and like just download them and repurchase the music at 99 cents a pop and make a playlist for your iPad or however you're supposed to do that these days, and it resides on the cloud or something. But it's like, I already own the music. I'm not buying this again because I'm a cheap radio guy, so it's like and I had a CD recorder, and I have multiple turntables, all of which have 45 RPM on them. So it's like, I'm gonna get some CDs and make myself a variety CD thing, on a rainy day or whatever. And so I went to the local Best Buy, and the greeter at the door, how can we help you? Yeah, I'm looking for some CD RWs or whatever, and audio CDs, because it's not just a CD. It's not like a data CD. It has to be the right kind of CD.
Right.
And the very helpful person looked at me and said, "We don't sell any CDs of any kind, and we don't even sell any DVDs anymore." It's like no one uses any of that media anymore. Everything is just
streamed.
Everything is just in the cloud. It's like it's like, well, my 45 RPM record player doesn't have a connection to the cloud, like for me to put the stuff in the cloud. What do I do? I mean, it was ridiculous. I had to go online or, get my wife's help to order some CD. And of course, the only thing I could get, no, it was cheap. It was because nobody needs it anymore. And they must be, who knows how old, but, brand new package of like a stack of 100 of these CD audio read writable discs that now it's multiple lifetime supply of these things, and it's all of like $9 or $19, something like that. So I had to get those because I could not buy them from like a retail store anywhere. I went Walmart. They suggested I go to Walmart. Walmart had the data type CDs. So if you wanted to burn a CD with just files, which I guess could even include pictures, but like static files, not audio that would play live, you could still buy those CDs at the Walmart, but I couldn't get the audio ones at any store. I had to actually order them online.
Yeah, probably like eBay or equivalent.
Yeah, but I did, and so then I made up a couple of CDs, so I was happy. So that was my accomplishment.
Nice. I know.
Playing with good old fashioned quote unquote audio electronics, except I did digitize it and put it on those CDs there. But
it is kind of amazing when when it didn't seem that long ago that CDs and DVDs were the standard for media. And
right,
it's just like and then suddenly it's like people laugh. It's like,
they looked at me like,
back in the old days, and it's like, well, wait a minute,
back in the old days of CDs, it's like, what, and DVDs? What do you mean the old days?
It seemed like it was just yesterday. I could see, okay, maybe cassette tapes and things like that. Okay,
I wasn't trying to buy an 8-track, or I was, or a 7-inch reel of Mylar, tape or anything. I was trying to buy like a CD. A read writable one, even, it's like, nope.
But if you want to buy a new LP, they've got them for $40 a piece at Walmart.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So those are the only two things I was working on. The rest of the time it was playing outside.
Is your music CD writer? Is that one Sony that they used to make that had the 5-disc changer? Is that the one you got?
Yep.
Those things are about as rare as hen's teeth.
And it, well, if it wasn't, that's my modern way of storing music, right? Before that, before I got that, yeah, but it's a 5-disc changer player on one side, and then it's a single disc recorder player on the other side, and it's a great deck.
I have one.
Okay, but
That's how I know about it.
Before that, I can't remember it might have been a Magnavox, or I'm trying to think. I'd have to go and look at it, but it's out in the music room. I actually got a hi-fi VHS player recorder. I don't know if you remember the hi-fi VHS. And so you could, it would run for 2, 4, or 6 hours, on a VHS cassette.
Yeah.
And I'm probably wrong in the way I'm going to say this, but I mean, in terms of like, well, if it's got video bandwidth, as far as, you can put moving pictures on it. Audio is not that hard for it to do. And it doesn't have hiss like, analog tape does from a tape recorder. And it doesn't have wow and flutter because it's got, much tighter specs on the mechanism because there's going to be video going through there, and it basically has CD dynamic range. So, before I got that Sony CD thing, I was putting, and because it would play for 6 hours, I was doing things like taking my multi-sided record, say like something simple, like say Jethro Tull Aqualung, right? It's both sides. So you could put those together, on the VHS tape, not have to like get up and flip it over to hear the second half of the music. Or like Jesus Christ Superstar is like a double album, so that's like 4 sides, but you can get all 4 sides all strung right together on your VHS tape and just like listen to the the Who, Quadrophenia, or whatever multi-album, multi-record performance, if you will. You can just put them on this VHS tape, and it's outstanding quality. You wouldn't know whether you were listening to the vinyl or a CD, and you got this VHS tape. So
really interesting.
I've got music on that. That's not my go-to thing anymore. I just burn CD now, but
you're probably one of the few people.
Now that I have 98 left, if anybody needs any, I got a good deal for you. Honest John's not so used read-writable CDs, but
buy one for $9.98.
Yeah, but
Crazy Noah.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. Like Crazy Eddie.
It will not be undersold. But I still bring out. There was I guess it was a really old PBS thing, or I don't know where I saw it, but it was music and it was video. It was it just jumped out of my mind. Koyona Scottsy. Does anybody remember Koyona Scottsy?
I sure do. Philip Glass did the soundtrack for it.
That sounds fantastic, and you can watch it on that VHS hi-fi.
I've only seen that once. I saw it back in the late 80s.
Yeah.
But oh sure, remember that. Wow.
But
that's a blast.
I recorded it, so I can watch it and listen to it anytime I want to. So on my VHS hi-fi player.
Wow. You're probably the only person I know who's ever just did audio recording on VHS.
Yep.
Usually it was just the typical reason to have it was video. Oh, we got another one.
I did it. I used to record the Art Bell show on VHS hi-fi.
There you go.
Yeah, because I couldn't stay up late enough to listen to it.
Yep.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you could set it up. I mean, it had the clock, always blinking 12 o'clock there, but I mean, you could set it up to start and stop recording. And
interesting. So you just now, what was your
there are RCA jacks. There's audio left and right into it. It's
That's
like a tape
I
deck. It's set up to be a tape deck.
Cool. Wow.
Yeah. I plugged a Grundig stereo receiver into it and tuned to the local AM station that carried the program. The interesting thing about it was if I happened to be awake in the middle of the night and listened to it in the middle of the night with my little earphone and my radio next to the bed, um, it would come across a certain way in the middle of the night. And then if I rewound it and listened to it on the tape during the daytime, it was a whole different attitude, I guess, or a whole different, I don't know, a different feeling to it.
In the light of day, as opposed
Light
to
of
the
day.
mysterious
Yeah,
wee pre-dawn hours.
exactly. In the middle of the night, you go, wow. In the daytime, you go, that's a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny, but
Oh, that's funny.
It's also good for, like, putting together those multi-album, like Fire Sign Theater, kind of theater of the
yeah.
mind thing.
Those are classic.
You can get all that, on one VHS tape as well.
You could make a what do they call it? A playlist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. Now it's better just actually go finding all these VHS recorders and see if we can repurpose them.
Yeah.
But
You know,
cool.
if you go on YouTube, there's a couple of channels. One is the 45 professor and the 78 professor. It's the word the and then 78 and PROF. And they've got playlists with all the hit songs of every year you can think of, from the 20s and 30s all the way up to the 70s and 80s.
Really,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Is it just free streaming or?
Free streaming, all the original recordings.
Well, that's
You can
pretty cool.
select individual songs, you can play the whole playlist.
Oh, so it's a library. You can actually pick what you want to hear. It's not just stream, like a radio station.
Right.
I could get in trouble for this because I was on another Zoom call. Maybe Greg is on this one too. Or maybe not. There's another. I forget how many of these groups and clubs I'm in now, but it's actually a guy who's down here in Texas, and it's called KDOK, KDOK, and it's on something called. Let me look it up here just for a second. It'll only take me a second
Sure.
to do this. Should only take me a second to do this. Yes, KDOC. Every time I talk, the picture comes up and goes over it. KDOC, KDOK, All Hit Radio, and it's on something called onlineradiobox.com. And
Nope.
and it's this guy plus, I guess, some of his friends or whatnot, and it's an online radio show, and it's free. You don't have to subscribe to it, and they just play hits, and it's hits of the 60s and 70s, and I don't even know if it quite reaches into the 80s, but it's out there, and it's like, if you want to, it's sort of pre-British invasion kind of stuff, as well as kind of moving up a little bit more into the 60s. So it's interesting to put on in the background sometime.
Oh, cool. Yet another option.
Well, and if you have an AM transmitter, you can actually play that through your old radios.
Yep.
Yes, that's right. That's right.
I
Definitely.
have an FM transmitter, but I don't have an AM transmitter.
Even better.
Play
Yeah.
that through the big Grundig console, the SO360, and rock the house with it.
Oh, yeah, that's the way to go. But well, cool. Thanks, Noah. So, Greg, obviously you went shopping.
Yeah, I went shopping. I don't have a lot of pictures from Sunday, but I just finished up something that I know Bob will recognize. Let's see if the screen sharing works on it.
All right. You went shopping and you went restoring.
Well, yeah, I went restoring. Yeah. Let's see what happens.
So you're saying last weekend was another big show for WARC.
Only the host can share in this meeting. Oh, I guess you got it.
Oh, sorry.
Allow me
Oh,
to-
oh, sorry about that. That would help, wouldn't it? I was just testing to see if you're awake.
Figured that.
All right. So you should be good to go this time.
This time. Okay. Let's see. Show. Here, can you see that?
Yes, we can.
Ah,
Oh,
a Binger.
Yeah, that's an original 1946. The finish is all original on that.
Wow.
wow. Geez, that looks like it rolled
I've
out of the
got two of
factory.
those, but neither one of them looks like that.
And the paper behind the dial hasn't got the burn stain from the light bulb.
No, no, this one didn't. Now, can I advance pictures that I got to go back and
You got one with it
unshare?
opened up?
You should be
I'm
able
trying to
to.
find some,
There's usually a
trying to
little
find
arrow
some.
to one side if you move your cursor. Usually, if you're on like a slide deck, if you're in a folder of pictures.
I don't
You
think
sh
it's gonna do that. I have to unshare and reshare how it looks.
The Bing
That's a,
Crosby.
yeah, it's funny. I think I
Never
share.
seen one that nice.
That's it.
No.
That's well.
Never.
One of mine is pretty nice, but it looks like a parts unit compared to that one. Yep.
Oh, look at that. Looks sharp.
So where on earth will we ever get the on-off volume control if it ever goes bad?
I've got a spare here. I think I got it from Mark Opat.
Wow.
With all those
That's
controls.
why I have two of them, because they both work, but so I electrically and mechanically restored them, but one I just left looking kind of junky.
For those of you that don't know what they're talking about, it's a double-sided switch, and on one side it
Yeah.
turns on the phono, the other side turns on the radio, and it's just a very unique on-off switch.
Yeah, but it's
Oh,
also the volume control. So you turn it
Right, it's
one
volume
way
control
and
on
it's
either side.
volume, and then you turn it the other way and
Mhm.
it's a volume control for the other function. It's bizarre. I've never seen that kind of a control on any other radio phono.
This is absolutely amazing because even the gold on the sides
Oh
of the
yeah,
on the
it's just
knobs are like perfect.
yeah. Look at that.
Well,
That's just an incredible condition. That's a great find, Greg.
full disclosure, Bob, I repainted the gold on the knobs.
Ah,
so
Because yeah, you're right.
you still never
They
find
always
them with
wear
that
off.
gold on there.
It was the first thing that wore off on them, just because
Yep.
you're always turning on them.
right. Sure. That makes.
Shame on me.
Did you have to get a new cartridge for the record
I
player?
did. I got one of those. It's a P51.
Yep.
Oh, what was that company called? Prefeds? The I can't pronounce
Yeah, I
it.
can't pronounce it, but the Voice of Music has them.
Right.
Yes.
I got mine from Phono Ed before he had his fire and his health problems, and he was down in Louisiana.
Now, this is one of the early versions of that 1201 that was just from 1946. They had a wooden base on them.
Yep.
Most all of them have a metal frame, but this one has a wooden frame.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, that
I've
is an
got one
early
of each, and they open up differently too.
Right, right. The one has a latch, and this thing you got to slide back and pull up.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh.
But what's really cool, and it works with 12-inch 78s too. It's amazing they had
Oh
that
yeah. Yeah,
technology.
well, there's two rollers in there and a
Yeah,
spring and a
spreads it
wire.
out.
So it sizes the record, so it puts that tone arm down at the very beginning of the record, no matter what size it is. It would
And if
work
it
with an
doesn't quite
11-inch record too, if you could find an 11-inch record.
sure. Well, it's got a little cam that you can adjust so the needle hits right on the edge of the
Yep.
record if it happens to be off a little bit. It's pretty amazing technology.
It's a
That's one
floppy
thing.
drive. It's a floppy drive. You just push that thing in there,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't touch the tone arm. You don't
That's pretty
in
cool.
fact,
No.
I know that I think I showed these photos back in early May, when we were at the Phoenix the Arizona Antique Radio Club, and they had an auction. They auctioned one off that was as almost as nice a shape as one you have, Greg. I think it wasn't working; it was
Mhm.
non-working. But I think the guy walked
Yeah.
out of there for like $5 or $10. I couldn't believe it, like $7. And he said, "Well, I've got a working one, but the cabinet is pretty rough, so I'm going to swap the guts, and I got one nice
Yeah.
one all around." I couldn't believe how cheap he got that.
Well, the
Oh,
problem with that's all photo finish on there, and if it gets scratched, it's just white wood under that stuff.
yeah, yeah, he got a nice one. It was cosmetically in terrific condition. Maybe not quite as nice as yours, but pretty close.
Yeah. Now this thing is a Croydon. I've never heard of that brand before.
What? How's that spelled?
Croydon, Croydon.
Croydon. I've never heard of that.
Yeah,
It's a good looking radio. Do you
yeah, it's
know?
got a big dial on it. It's unfortunately it's got the TRF technology where the volume control is connected to the antenna. So it doesn't have AVC or anything, but it's
Where was it
style
made?
wise. I think it's one of those Plant A, Plant B things that were made in Chicago. Like Warwick, I think, made it.
Oh, okay.
They were made for certain stores or something. But it's just a 5 tuber.
That's a pretty good. That's a nice looking radio, though, and certainly not commonly seen. First one I've seen.
No, here's the back of it. It's only got 5 tubes.
Mm, Still,
Pretty primitive, but it's a nice little radio.
yeah. Oh, that's cool. And you don't see these very often. So is
Oh,
that
great.
is
That
is that
1946 that plays the 78s.
Uh-huh.
There's, if I can do this right, there's something
yeah, let's see.
called the Magic Phono.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And
Okay.
this is the children's 45 RPM version
Uh-huh.
of that Philco. So you can see the sort of the head of the tone arm. You look inside of there, and then the little disc coming up, so that the little kids who are probably worse than we are at, you don't want them touching the tone arm. So this is that sort of the same principle, except it doesn't have to size the record because it only takes 45s, and it's battery operated, so they can't get electrocuted.
Right.
Wow.
When I found this one, it actually came with the Gabriel Magic Phono demonstration record. So
Wow.
it's like a little narration of like, this is welcome to the world of the Magic Phono, where you can just slide that in and it'll play your 45 for you without you scratching the record or anything. So
Wow.
it's funny that many years later, I think this was maybe 1960s or something, but
Mhm.
obviously working off that same idea as the 46 Bing Crosby there of just how do I get
Yeah.
to how can a little kid play his 45s without scratching them up or busting his needle or dropping the tone arm too hard or whatever.
Mhm. We had
The
one
only-
more radio we did here. Let's see this guy here. A big Philco bullet.
Oh, very nice. And is this after I assume this is after a restoration, not the way it came.
Yeah, this is after I restored it.
Wow, terrific job.
Model 610. And one thing, Philco in 36, they used those same kind of knobs for many years, but just in 1936, they were black. Every other year, they were molded in kind of a brownish color.
Hmm.
So it's hard to find those knobs.
Wow, it's a nice, beautiful job, Greg. How bad a condition was it when you got it?
It wasn't too bad. The original finish was mostly there, but it was flaking off, so I just took the rest of it off and redid it. 'Cause it wouldn't have looked right to try and touch it up. See, I'll
Wow.
show you the
Terrific.
dial
Yeah.
here. It's one of those that has a little
Oh yeah.
light that turns back, and that little arrow
Oh,
moves up
that's
and
great.
down when you change the bands.
Love it. That's really nice.
Those
Another
are some of my
another
recent projects.
so how many of those are going off to Radio Attic?
Well, like the Croydon and the Philco are gone already, and the 1201 I'm going to be selling that one too eventually.
Nice. Nice. Wow,
That
that's
one will
great.
take some special packing though, because you have to hold the platter in and tone arm down and everything.
Yeah, yeah. I could believe that. Wow, great job. Just beautiful.
Thank you. I'm glad I figured out photo sharing now. I just wish I
Oh,
could advance it here, but
oh
on a
well,
tablet it's different than a computer.
usually Usually there's an arrow, something you have to like move the cursor around, but usually there's an arrow, you should be able to, to advance them. But, it depends perhaps on the, what do you use for what are you using to do this on
I
a
just was picking
tablet?
them out of the gallery on the tablet.
Hmm.
It just opened up one at a time. It didn't open up in a separate program. I think I got to look for a program that
Yeah,
open a photo up and
got it. Got it.
work.
But
We made it.
by the way, I'd be remiss to a very, very belated welcome to Frank. I think Frank, I met you at Spring Brookline, and welcome to the meeting. Um, but apologize for not acknowledging you earlier.
That's okay. Thank you. I'm really enjoying seeing the old radios. And being a child of the 60s, that 45, I do remember going to a friend's house that had one of those.
That's funny. Yeah, there's always something interesting somebody shows here in these meetings that's sort of sparks the memories of childhood or going to a friend's house having some cool toy like that. But well, cool. Well, Frank, I certainly happy to give you some time. Did you have anything you want to talk about? This is open forum, so we're not particularly pre.
Well, I'll just a little bit of history. I'm the third son out of four boys that my parents had. And so my two older brothers were the ones that were more introduced to the radios that you're showing there. I do remember seeing a reel to reel. When my older brother had a friend that had a reel to reel that I got to see back in the day, and some of the older radios back from the '60 area I've been seeing. But yeah, my stepson Isaiah, who is on,
Yeah.
he took me to some of these vintage radio places, and they're really neat to go and visit.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Well, it's great that you've made your way, and found our club and have, made our Spring Brookline event, and hopefully you enjoyed it. Maybe you even came home with something.
Not that trip, but who knows? There's going to be another one. My stepson said pretty soon, so I'll be going with him to that one, and who knows what I might bring home.
Awesome. Very good. Very good. Well, glad to
Well,
have you.
before you know it, you'll be living in one of those vintage radio places and not just visiting them.
Well, I in the '70s, I was out this way in Newport, New Hampshire, and one of my parents' friends had the old-fashioned phonograph record, the crank. I remember that, and it was pretty good condition. And so, yeah, I got to see one of those as well.
Nice. Nice. That's got to be Ross. But one of the clocks going off.
Top of the hour.
Yeah, they do that unsolicited all the time. There's going to be a ship's bell ringing in a couple of minutes here too, really loud. But
That's okay.
I don't have a whole lot to report since we saw you at the Brookline event. Other than my car died a few days after that, and
Oh, the Audi?
yeah, it died on my way home from where was I? I was in Winchester working on the clock up in the tower in the town hall, and coming home at rush hour traffic, lugging the engine and so forth. I started misfiring. The engine was misfiring, and I ended up getting the car towed home. And fixed it on Sunday. I had to replace all four of the fuel injectors.
Really?
And,
I was thinking of coil packs, but
I tried that first, and then I tried spark plugs, and then I did a compression test. All the compression's fine. So I said, well, the next thing in line is the fuel injectors. So I threw a set of fuel injectors in, which took 7 hours, and cleaned the intake valves while I was in there, and now it runs like a new car again at 244,000 miles.
Wow.
not bad. That's the 1.8 turbo, right?
This is the 2.0 turbo.
Oh, 2.0. Okay, right. Okay.
TFSI.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I was watching a video earlier today on YouTube. They made that car with a V10 twin turbo, 760 horsepower. and it was kind of interesting. It's called the
That-
RS.
It's just gonna say it must. I'm not sure that. Boy, if you see one in the US, it's super rare because I remember
Oh,
the RS4 had the V8.
yeah,
I have a friend with the 2006 with
yeah,
he has an RS 4, and I drove it. It had like, at the time, this is just before COVID. It had
yeah.
160,000 miles on that. I got to tell you, Ross, that was one of the most entertaining cars I've driven in a while.
Oh, yeah.
It was terrific. It's like 425 horsepower,
Yeah.
and so it's just not lacking for grunt, and it sounds the part. And I was amazed how it was like a little. I'm on 495, and it's just like a little slot car, snick, snick. It was just, it was terrific.
Oh,
Nice car.
yeah. Yeah, mine's only 200 horsepower, but I have a six-speed manual
Yep,
gearbox,
yep. Yeah,
and
that's what we had.
it is just nonstop fun to drive. The problem with the RS6s is they're all eight-speed automatic with paddles, and
Yeah,
that's okay. It's okay. It's actually technically quicker than the stick,
right,
but that's not the point.
right, right,
So anyhow,
right.
but it's back on the road. Everything's fine at this point, and I got out of it relatively cheap. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, injectors, and you're set for a while. And
Hope so. We'll
hopefully,
make it to 300,000. We'll make it to 300,000.
right. That's just to decide what would you replace it with.
I,
So,
I don't even want to think about it. I can't even imagine replacing it, but I will at some point, I suppose. I'm thinking that it'll last as long as I can drive. There goes the ship's clock.
oh, that's nice. I like it.
8 bells. It's a little slow. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, if I if I won the lottery, I'd buy an RS6. They did make a twin turbo V8 version of that, and then they made the twin turbo V10. But the problem is how do you put gas in that? I
Yeah.
noticed a big difference so far. I haven't checked it yet, but I've noticed that my gas gauge is not moving as fast as it used to, which is good. So I'm hoping that I'll be spending a little less money on gas. But that V10 is going to suck up gas like no tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah, that's
So
for sure. Although
yeah,
probably if you're, and it's hard to drive it easy because it's just so much fun.
no, no, it's a constant game of seduction. That gas pedal um just seduces you every time you touch it with your toe. It's like, okay, let's go, and it's like, no, we can't.
Hey Ross, I got a lot of car buddies here in New Jersey. Can I use that line? I love that. Game of seduction. I've never heard it put that way, but it's so true.
Well, as long as we're all above board here, and you can take a little obscenity, my interpretation of driving that car is like being a teenage boy with an erection in a convent.
That's funny. That's funny.
So as long
That's
as there were
funny.
no ladies present, I figured I could say that.
That would
That's
make your next confessional quite interesting.
uh,
I'm a Protestant. I don't have to worry about
Oh, okay.
that's funny.
I'm Catholic. Can't you tell I've been shamed of my whole entire life? You're a
Yeah.
sinner from the minute you're at birth.
Oh,
So be it.
oh, that's funny. That's funny.
That's great. I love it.
But let's see here. So I'll just say a shout out to Bill there. I know, Bill, you're on there remotely. Glad you're on. Hopefully you're enjoying yourself here. Feel free to pipe it if you'd like to. And I know, Isaiah, you're keyboarding it, but always read your always informative messages. Um, let's see here. Boilders, I'll just show something I picked up at the show. So it's very short because it's not. It's a neat little radio, but nothing too fantastic. Where did I put it? Oh, right here. Okay, let me just quickly share it. In fact, I think, Ross, you saw me walking around with it. Let me share. There we go. Picked up this.
Oh yeah.
I picked this up from, actually, actually Steve Vine was very nice, and he said, "Hey, take this." He said, "I saved it all for you," and it's actually a terrific little what I call like an upper lower end. It's almost like a oxymoron. Nordmenda. This is from it's a Cambridge, so they must have decided to change their naming convention, but it's a Cambridge, and it's from like around 71, 72. It's actually works pretty decent. It needs some servicing. I definitely need to open it up. But it's actually a decent little radio. Picks up pretty decently. FM is pretty good. I'm having trouble with AM. I think that's where its biggest problem is, and maybe I'm not sure what's the switch. Um, but I was having a little bit of trouble picking up AM, which is the M for middle wave. Um, but actually, you know what? They're nice little radios, and it's one of those ones I can definitely like when I'm washing the car, just put it out on the steps and just play whatever. Usually, if I'm doing washing the car Sunday morning, I usually find it, wait, don't tell me, because that's always great entertainment in the mid morning. That's always a good for a few laughs. But I actually came on pretty light-handed a couple of this time around. That was probably my only big acquisition, and that was totally free. So I have to thank Steve for that. It was very kind of him. But it's actually a nice little radio. It's not something I would it has a little bit more than you could get the very basic AM radio from Nordmenda from the time. I think they were made in Taiwan. I think I had one at the time, but this one it was made in Germany. It's a nice little radio. It's not bad, and it's even sweeter as free. But so that's probably all, and I haven't had much time to play with it. Um, um, and so I think I'm going to turn this over to you, Bob.
Oh, okay. I have something kind of simple and quick. Little backstory. My wife Sharon and I did a house clean out for JD auction. They decided to have a house sale. And the night before, we got a phone call at about 6:30, 7 o'clock in the evening. Can you go? Because they need help. All right, well, we can go. It's about an hour away. It's by New Jersey. Sure. We go to this house, and you can't see the house from the street because there's growth all the way around it. There's a garage way in back. You can barely see it from the street. And obviously, the house is in some sort of a disrepair. So, okay, we get it. Get out of the car, and we go inside. And the front porch had kind of like a T-brace holding the front cover for the front porch up there. And then, just as a bit of redundancy, somebody took a long branch and propped up a corner that was probably beginning to sag from this thing. So we knew what we were up against before we even got in the house. We get in there, and the backstory was the son of the owner was there, physically there, and his father, I guess, was a collector. He had a great eye, but the problem is he was trying to put 10 pounds of stuff in a 5-pound bag, if you get my drift. So he had fishing reels, he had radios, he had microscopes, books. I mean, an incredible amount of things. So my wife Sharon happens to come across this box, and she's going in there. And she says, "It's watches," and I'm really not a watch guy. Hear it. She says, "Oh, but wait, I think you'll like this one." She pulls this thing out, and I have it right here. And once I saw it, I said, "Okay."
Ooh.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Pretty kilowatt.
And it works.
Wow, that's
I slapped the watch battery in, and it took right off. The problem is that this is probably made in Taiwan or somewhere,
Sure.
but this wristband barely fits over my wrist, so I will probably be shopping for another wristwatch. So that was my little trinket that followed me home from that sale. And
that's cool.
I tell you what, the guy had a great eye, but man, he just he collected fishing reels and never went fishing. He had fish, and these fishing reels were perfect. So when people were coming around, there was a table where I was standing right behind me. I was steering at people. Hey, you fish? Because you're literally on the Jersey Shore. You could take like a 5-minute walk to the beach and do surf fishing or whatever. Look at all these reels right here. And I said, listen, and I'm saying the guy didn't fish. He just collected the reels because he liked the reels. And they were all perfect. I mean, beautiful, Daiwa reels and really high-end stuff. It was just amazing, the stuff that was there. I just shelled out a bunch of money for different things, and I just didn't have it for that. So, but it was fun. It was a fun day. So that was my little find for. I have a Ready Kilowatt T-shirt, so I was gonna add that watch, for when I go out and wear that shirt. That was kind of neat.
That's a cool find. Well, it's kind of fun rummaging through all the stuff just to find that one little cool thing, the diamond in the rough.
Well, as people were coming in, I'd say don't be overwhelmed by what you're seeing. Just the fun is in the hunt. Take your time. And the people that came in, despite the fact that the house was kind of dumpy and bad disrepair, they loved it, and they did really well that day. So that was pretty good. I was happy. It was just fun to be there.
Cool. And so you have an auction coming up that you'll be going to.
You want to see what's up there?
Yeah, sure. Because you're pretty much the last one in the queue.
I've got this lined up so we can do this.
Sure.
And yeah, I got it here. Okay, so let me get this back up here, and I can share, right? This is it.
Yeah.
All right, there it is. Okay, so this is literally from the website, and here's some of the pictures of the items that are going up for auction. And there's a lot of stuff here. Let me show you some of my personal favorites from. There's an eclectic mix here, guys. So what you're going to see is this is beautiful Atwater Kent right here. I've seen this radio. This is just absolutely. I can blow this up. No, maybe I can do this. There we go. I mean, look at that thing. I don't know if it works or not, but it's absolutely beautiful. I believe that was owned by the club, the New Jersey Antique Radio Club. There's a guy that's been doing some restorations for the stuff that's in the museum.
Hey Bob,
just really nice stuff.
Did you blow up the photo just now?
Yes, well, I have a MacBook Pro, and I could just increase the size and.
We're only seeing, at least from my end, I'm only seeing it in just the tile, just the folder, folder view.
Can you see it in this frame here? Or?
No, not yet. We're still seeing the just.
Okay, maybe. All right, I guess I can't do that then. All right, I'll have to blow these. Maybe I could do it like this.
Yeah, that's okay. I wonder if you could.
The resolution goes to hell, so
it doesn't. So if you can't click on it in advance, like
like a slideshow.
I just get this little picture.
Oh, you have to.
You may have to open it up and then unshare and reshare like I did to get one picture.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, as you can see, I'll just go down.
Yeah, see KLH.
Hey, yeah, I just wanted to show this to the guys that like audio stuff.
Dynaco.
So there is also unbuilt kits here from both Heathkit and Dynaco.
Wow. I see a grinding to
when was the last time you saw that? Here's some Dynaco kits right here. Just some really, really cool stuff. So this is what's going to be Saturday's auction. This piece right here, I'm going to try to blow this up a little bit.
That's interesting.
This is a ham kind of thing. Russ might be interested in this. What that is an exciter for a transmitter that went to all the Arc 5 stuff. Like you've seen all the Arc 5 receivers that have the 28 volt dynamotor in it. This is actually I'm using the word exciter, but it actually drives the transmitter. And the condition of this thing, this is not really a great picture, but this thing is probably one of the best ones I've ever seen because I forget the number on here.
Yeah, it looks nice. Send it up.
Really, really good shape. There's a few other pieces here. I haven't seen one of these in a while. This is a little Zenith clock radio, but this is.
Oh yeah. Sort of make that.
Not the best picture in the world.
Is this strictly an on-site auction or is it online
as
well?
It's going to be an on-site auction. And it's like all these Heathkit. Well, I don't know why I just clicked on that, but there's all these Heathkit tuners.
Oh yeah, wow.
It's all that stuff. Here's one of those nice KLH radios.
Yeah, it looks in nice shape.
So this is only part of what's going to be in the auction. You can see there's a lot of Fisher stuff here. There is these are cool. This is a couple of Scott monoblocks. I forget the model number, but there's one here and one here. There's two monoblock Scotts. Uh, let me see what else was here. Oh, then we're back to the radios. There's a nice silver tone right here. This is the
Oh
one
yeah,
I'm
that is
trying.
nice.
That silver tone is just beautiful.
Yeah, I
The one
love that
I'm trying
dial.
to get is this one. This is kind of weird. This
Hmm.
is not the greatest picture in the world, but this is a Farnsworth,
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
and there's just the basically AM dial here, and up above there's a shortwave, I think 6 to 18 megacycles. It has presets as well, and I don't have a Farnsworth. I've never had a Farnsworth. So unless someone watches this thing before Saturday, if they want to bid against me, they're going to be in for a big disappointment because I want this radio. I think that's just really, really cool.
That is nice.
Um,
That's
I was in the house where a lot of these radios came from. Look at this Emerson Ingram. I mean, how often do you see
yeah.
that?
Yeah, that's rare. I don't see it. Is that a twin speaker or is that just for looks?
That's a twin speaker. I didn't even know they put them in those
Wow.
cabinets.
Wow.
This one right here, where I got my little cursor here.
That's a nice
Um,
radio.
One day when we were cleaning out this guy's house, we had this radio hooked up and plugged in, and we were listening to country western while we were unpacking this guy's house. And
Stromberg.
nice Stromberg Carlson, you've seen these before. This one
Yeah.
does not have a tuning eye on it.
Yeah, that almost the Farnsworth I almost thought was a Stromberg because of the hexagonal, but it was on the speaker side, not the dial face.
Yeah, yeah. All these came out of the same house. This Zenith was really nice too.
Nice, get some.
Just a number of. There's a couple cathedrals here. So,
Yeah.
excuse me, I'm trying to get over a cold. This is a Philco 70 or is it 20? This Erla is actually pretty unique. I don't know, Greg, have you ever seen that?
No, I never have. Not with a slide dial like that.
That's kind of be interesting. I would think that's probably early 30s.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
I think I saw your video, Bob, where you were showing the house and it was just packed in there. I don't know how you moved around in that place to get this
I'll tell
stuff
you
all
what,
out.
I was sore for 2 days. I must have went up and down those steps like 20 times.
I believe it.
And then on the bottom of the steps, when you're watching that video, there was a door there. So the door
Oh.
opened up in a way that the minute you got down the stairs, you couldn't go nowhere. So I said to Darren, I said, listen, you got a screwdriver? I have my tools with me. So
Yeah,
I just
pull the
blew
door
the
out.
door off the hinges. I said, this door is coming off until we get this thing unpacked. And we've only unpacked half the house. There's still consoles and big stuff up there. We got to go back there and finish that. So
Wow.
here's some other thing. Now this, I wish
Oh, look at that.
This is a 78 RPM phono.
Yeah.
Wow.
This guy right here.
That's pretty cool.
That's pretty unique. I've never seen anything like that. My wife went into a closet in that same house and pulled out a new inbox 7 transistor Westinghouse radio. Everything was in the shrink wrap and all that. I mean, it's not in this auction. This is kind of cool.
Boy
When they
Scout radio.
found this, I kind of got excited because this even predated me. This has to be from like the 50s. It was an official Boy Scout 1-tube radio kit.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
That's just, yeah, this is stuff that you never see. And of course, you've got people that like brass fans.
Yeah.
Well, not always. I think 2 of these were brass, and then this early GE was brass, and I think this one was brass too. 2 of these were brass. This Emerson is it's not a this was a Beetle cabinet, so the picture's not doing it justice. You had white with pink and all the different Beetle colors and stuff on it. So the radio isn't that great. It's just kind of a 5-2 radio, but the cabinet was real nice and there was no cracks or anything like that in there. This was kind of unusual. This radio here was a pilot radio.
Huh.
And this is, I think this was, I want to say Plascon, but I might be wrong. I'm not sure what the black was, but unfortunately here, right where I got my cursor, there was a small crack
Oh yeah.
right there. I've never seen one of these. This guy, another guy that had really good eye for collecting radios. This is a really nice Emerson right here.
Mm.
This radio was kind of nice. It just got a little bit of warpage on it. Well, I'm blowing it up. I'm just storing it. This is a silver tone.
Oh, okay.
And this is also kind of Beetle.
Hmm.
And then it's got these, I forget what kind of plastic this is, but the insert here. So there's nothing broken on this radio, but there was some slight warpage on it. And we got some ham gear here as a bone anchor receiver. And here,
Ooh, Marantz 8B.
I knew Noah was going to wake up the minute I
Hmm.
showed him that. So
I used
that's a
to have one of
mono
those.
8. That's a real deal 8B mono block. You can see the quantity all
No,
34s
yeah,
there.
no, that's stereo.
Yeah.
That's 35
That's
watts
Oh
a
no, it
channel.
is stereo. That's right. I forgot. Well, I never had the pockets to be able to buy one of these.
Yeah, I had one of those with the matching 7C preamplifier.
Yes. So, well, you can drive down to New Jersey, drive up to New Jersey, take a whack at it, get them tires on your car a little earlier, and come on
Well,
up.
that's why I asked if it was online or only on site.
No,
Well, you could pick
it's
it up
only on
for me.
site, unfortunately. So here's a Kenwood. I forget this one. Which one this one was? There's just all kinds of stuff here. There's a GE. That's a
GE, yeah.
GE Super Radio right there.
Yeah.
Uh, this is kind of weird. This Western Electric horn mic.
Hmm.
That's what when we did the research. That's what it came into.
What is
I
that
forget-
black? Jiffy Jet windshield washer bag.
I was just gonna say, it looks like a windshield washer bag.
You know what that is? That's actually a tube tester, but I forget which one it is, what brand. I want to say Heathkit, but I might be wrong. But that's a tube tester.
Oh,
There's
okay.
a national receiver. I think this one was a Yaesu receiver. These are all in that house. I forget what this, Palstar. I think that's a tuner, Tenna tuner. It's a R5000, I think, Kenwood. Or no, 2000 receiver. Then you got multiplex adapters. So you got a little bit of everything for everyone. Look at this
Oh
thing.
yeah.
Got one of them nice
Oh yeah.
old school
Antenna.
antennas with the radio inside of it. That's just so cool. So there's a little bit of everything for everybody there. Here's a morale radio. I forget what brand this was, but it was something I never heard of before. So, and then this was an RCA. I want to say it's a model 28. It's a real early TRF set, I think. And then here's a Fisher 600.
Mm.
Hmm.
Here's a Scott Fisher tuner. And then God only knows what that is.
Hmm.
Not sure what that is. Not sure what those. It says Pro 5A. Might be speakers. There's the speaker. Oh, maybe that's one of the speakers out of here.
Mm.
And look at that thing. It's just kind of an all-in-one speaker there.
Yeah.
Keep going here.
Serious speaker.
There's a Fisher 400. I
Nice.
have one in my living room. Love
Yep.
it. It's the back of it. The only thing is, the back is when these things are running. Boy, after a couple hours, these things get so hot.
It's toasty. Yeah.
And we can do some grilled cheese in the back.
Yeah,
Here's,
okay. Who needs a fireplace?
Yeah, it's good
here's
for
the
winter.
what was it that movie where what's his face? He goes up to the equalizer and pushes everything up to high. And
Yeah.
Oh, is that
I'm having a senior moment.
Final tap.
yeah, maybe
That was the volume control that went to
Oh, that's
11.
right. Yeah, the 11. Yeah.
Now, Spinal Tap was the Marshall amp that they all did. Everything in the head went up to 11.
Yep.
Yeah, this was Tom Hanks when he's in his underwear listening to Bob Seger. He slides all these things up and he starts dancing in his underwear. Forget the name of the movie. That's what that reminds me of. That's an Equalizer.
Tom Cruise, wasn't it?
Or Tom Cruise, not Tom Hanks.
What's the name of that?
It wasn't risky
And
business.
Tom Hanks doesn't do his own stunts in his underwear.
No.
That's a Fisher, I think, too, right?
Looks
It
like it.
looks like it.
So a little something there for everybody.
Yeah. There's some good stuff there.
Here's another thing that's a little odd. I might go after this one.
Ooh,
This is a Stromberg Carlson, and you remember the plastic Bakelite cabinet that had that kind of fat and chunky up top and then slendered down, and it's just an AM only dial. This is literally the same radio, only it's in this cabinet. I've never seen this wooden cabinet before for that radio.
It's pretty.
That
Very
was kind
attractive.
of unusual. So that's why we'll be doing it. There's going to be between 250 and 300 items up for auction Saturday. So
Oh, that'll be fun. You, you definitely have
Be
to
there
report
or
it.
be square.
You have to report it at the next meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah, if I
I
could
want to
get
know what
some
that 8B
information on
goes
that,
for.
I'm going to make a video, or at least try to make one while I'm there. It's impossible for me to do it because I'm up on stage with the auctioneers, and most of the time I'm there, I'm just describing the pieces as they run up. Most of the time, because there's some pieces that I have to rely on Darren or John to chime in because I'm not too familiar with everything here. So I mean, and even stuff like this, there's two of these Western Electric output transformer. I'm sure there's going to probably be a couple Oriental guys in the crowd trying to outbid each other for these things. Because anything with Western Electric, I just see dollar signs. It's crazy.
Same thing with that 8B.
I'm sure that 8B is probably going to go for a couple grand at least.
Yep.
At least. The most I ever saw at one of these auctions, and I have a video on it. I just don't remember which one. I have about 4 or 5 videos, but they had the Telefunken, I forget the model number, the telephone and microphones
Oh yeah.
similar to the ones that the Beatles used in the Abbey Road studios when they were doing some of their albums. And a pair of three of them went for $37,500.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And it
I
was
mean,
just nuts. The room, everybody in the room was in shock because it was two guys, and they didn't have the interest in it. I think somebody just handed them their checkbook or their credit card and said, "Here, have at it." And they probably just gave them a cutoff number, and they were still going. And the one guy, they had to bid at 37,000. And the guy did like this. So instead of going up 1,000, it's half. He said, "All right, I'll take it 37.5." And that was it. They were done. Stopped right there. So this is what my wife and I will be doing for probably 7 hours on Saturday.
cool.
So I
Cool.
figure I'd
Hey,
share
Bob.
that with you guys.
Bob, if you think of it, I'd be curious to know what that dynamotor goes for, if you just happen to notice.
I have to be honest with you, Kurt. I'm not into the real old, World War II vintage stuff, but I know about those, and my father had some ARC-V receivers when I was a kid growing up, so I knew what that was, but I've never seen one together. They're usually almost always missing the dynamotor or the cover's off, and there's 4 tubes in that cover. I think there's I forget the tube numbers, but they're like 16.9s and like that. When there's a voltage regulator tube in it. Sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. This is all together, and the condition it's in is very nice. It has the little anchor on the back that shows for the Navy, and it's all there. So I'm going to probably when it gets up on the auction block, I'm probably going to talk it up a little bit. I might even throw money at it just to get people rolling. If I get stuck bringing it home, then I know I'll roll it real quick.
Right.
So
Interesting. Yeah, that's something I don't have. I had to build my own power supply
I
for
think
my
they called it
transmitter.
officially. They called that a modulator.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but you can go if you go to my last video. I actually have the link. If you want to see them clearly, you go to my video. Don't watch the video. Just click on the link, and you can see all that stuff that's up there right now.
Oh, all right.
So
Oh,
that's what we do here in New Jersey for fun and games.
that's like a good time because there's a lot
If,
of good stuff there.
if we have any money left after the locals grab your ankles and go like this, I'm still a little dizzy.
That's right. Well, there's a lot of terrific radios on there. That none of them look like junk. That's for sure.
I'm blessed and very fortunate that I live here. I mean, I'm making fun of New Jersey and how expensive it is to live here, and it is. But there's so much radio history here, and there's so many people that have been involved in different aspects of the radio hobby. You could have been a broadcaster, you could have been a technician, and these are all wonderful people, and I'm surrounded by all this talent, and I try to take this in as a sponge, and I'm really lucky to be here for that. And it's just really amazing stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
Well,
thank you for letting me waste
oh
your time
yeah.
talking about
No,
stuff.
no. This is all good stuff because as we can see, it's a little bit of a lighter attended meeting this time around, but some of the
And I
things
also did that, like Greg said, he watched the video. I also wanted the people to see, and I talked to John, the guys that run the auction company, John and Darren. They're the guys, JD Auctions. John says, "Listen, I talked to Darren. Why don't you just bring the camera before we do the house cleanup, just to see the amount of work and the stuff that has to be done."
Yeah.
I just made a quickie video just so you could imagine. Yeah, all right, here's all these piles of radios. This is dark, dingy, dirty room. And we have to go down flight of steps, and we have to label everything. We have to take pictures of everything. There's just an incredible amount of work that goes behind it. So
yeah.
I just figured you'd give you the other side of, everybody likes to go in and see everything nicely tagged and on tables and, for the day of the auction. But there's quite a bit of work that goes behind that. So it's not all flowers and daisies all the time. Sometimes there's a lot of grunt work.
Oh yeah, but I assume obviously this must be an estate sale. Some collector passed away, and the family's is selling off the.
Yeah, as a collector, it's really important. Like I have a game plan that if God forbid anything ever happens to me, my wife will know what to do with my stuff. And the best, where she can get the most money from my stuff, because, not as a collector, sometimes you collect things you like. It may not be worth that much, but I do have some items that are valuable. So it's good to have some estate planning for yourselves in case, God forbid something happens to you. You know that your stuff isn't going to head for a dumpster or something like that. It can be turned into money. And, maybe not as much money as you paid for, but you'll still get money, that kind of thing. So it's really important thing to do.
Yeah, no, for sure. Actually, our dearly departed member Adrian Seffer did a nice presentation on that. You guys may recall.
Oh, I forgot all about that.
Yeah, because that's still available on our website. Because I put it on our they call like notable videos. And that because I thought it was a useful reference because he talked about it globally. But also to put the slant on vintage electronics. What do you do with that collection instead of just telling people don't forget about these things because it's so easy, and then you end up leaving your family with the headache of dealing with all you have. So it was actually
and it's an unfortunate thing, and that's what my wife and I did Saturday. I mean, this poor guy. I think the story goes that I talked to the guy. I said my father was a hoarder, and I don't think he planned on being a hoarder, but he grew up during the Depression.
Yeah.
And when my father passed in 1992, I shelled out a small fortune on dumpsters because he didn't say anything good. I mean, he was, rusty chains and tires with no tread on it, and that kind of crap. And I went nuts, but I spent weeks going through that, after work, on weekends, and I think I even took a couple of days off of work to do it. And it was just a big mess. So, I told the guy, says, look, don't feel bad about this. I've been here. I've been done that. At least this way you're going to get some money back, out of this. And then you can take that back because his father is now residing in Arizona and he lives in Arizona. So he's just trying to sell the estate so he can move on with his life. That's what happens.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, I mean, there's a lot of nice radios there. I mean, hopefully, you'll get some reasonable money out of it all because
some of these guys they're just talented collectors. Like the guy who I did the video on, a mile away from his house, there's a big auction place, and it's notorious. It's called Englishtown. It's actually literally about a mile and a half from the old Englishtown drag strip.
I was gonna say that's what it's known for.
Raceway Park.
Yes.
That's the powerful sound of nitro burning funny car.
Yes.
Raceway Park.
Sunday.
Well,
somebody's been there before.
This guy would go.
I raced there.
This guy would go to that Englishtown flea market and buy radios off this one guy, and the guy would fix them. So it was really funny because as we were unloading, one of the guys would take one of the radios and plug it in, turn it on, and 80% of the time the radio would start playing. This is unheard of. We usually get some, and these guys these guys have no fear. We don't need no isolation transformer variac. They're going right into the outlet, turn them on. I'm like, no, the guy says that they all work. Boy, I'm working. Okay. So that was just kind of cool.
Indeed. Wow. Good stuff.
I'm lucky to be surrounded by that, I guess.
Yeah, no, well, I'll tell you, we get regular hits on our website from people who are disposing of some number of radios from some family member. Somebody trying to sell. In fact, I've got a nice woman in Rhode Island who has mostly more newer hi-fi stuff. I've looked through the pictures, but she'll be, we'll see if we can post photos and see if we can help her out there. But we're seeing, a pretty regular stream of it, showing up, and some neat stuff comes of it, and some of the stuff is like you said, Bob, sort of like run the mill, but hopefully we'll find a home for it for reasonable money, or sometimes people are just kind of saying, we're just gonna drop it over the club, and you guys can auction it off, or find a home for them, which is kind of nice because sometimes some of this is kind of like it said when I said it seems a little bit I don't like the run unremarkable, but
One of my goals was starting up my YouTube channel was to try to get younger people involved in this because we're all fossils, and Noah could probably relate to this. I see this happen in the old car hobby too. Like for example, like for us, find somebody under the age of 30 who wants to play with an old radio. It's almost impossible to do that. And the old car hobby, it's kind of paralleling in the respect that this is just my opinion. So it's it's
No, well,
any pre-1955 car, unless it's a 49 and 51 Merc or a Tucker, nobody wants them unless they've been like retro rotted with or put power steering, power brakes, and a later V8 in it or whatever. Original car, nobody wants them anymore.
Yeah, well, it's interesting on how sort of what goes around comes around because the first Chrysler 300 that I ever purchased, I purchased in 1982, and it was a 1962, so it was 20 years old. So like now is 2025, so that same, if I go back, like start over again, it's now 2025. If I want to go back and get a cool 20-year-old car, that's like a 2005 Dodge Magnum.
Yeah.
Which might seem like a new car, but it's a 20-year-old car. I mean, forget it. I mean, you never see a DeSoto or a Rambler or a Hudson at a car show anymore because they're too old and their owners can't drive them that far anymore. Or, it's like,
yeah, I know. But to you guys' point, when you talk about like the early radios, trying to find like those nice Grebe synchro phase, there because radios like that nobody wants to nobody wants to anymore.
I sold a working Grebe synchro phase for $30 to a young guy.
Yeah,
and I had this thing for like 3 years, and I finally found somebody to buy it.
Yeah, and put that same analogy to like, who you're going to find take the Model Ts and Model A's, Ford Model A's of the world,
right.
because,
unless they've been resto modded or just like, you got to have, if you want to get rid of that Atwater Kent, you better have a little Bluetooth module in there or something.
Yeah.
John just brought up a very good point, but I'm gonna take what John said and break it down a little bit. When you say the Model Ts, okay, even the Model Ts, nobody wants the earlier ones. And you know why? The later ones had an electric starter on it.
Right.
So why would you want to try to take a chance and break your wrist trying to start up a crank? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it's true. That's unless you convert one over somehow, but then you probably become sort of a little bit of a Frankenstein and lose the originality.
Or those, the 40s cars with 6-volt batteries in them and 6-volt electrics. You're not going to run down to AutoZone and get a starter motor for your 48 whatever.
Make mine a Buick Roadmaster, please.
I got up 12V6 tubes so that when somebody wants to do a 12-volt conversion to their car, all of a sudden now I got to find a 12-volt vibrator, 12-volt tubes, and and all that, and a radio if they want original radio in it.
Yep.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, I can always, because I'm not a big fan. I'm seeing more and more of this because you guys brought it up, resto mods, and I'm not a big fan of it. I'm occasionally a fan of like, tasteful ones that are like, are fairly mild. I'm okay with that. And of course I'm okay with like safety considerations, like, putting, disc brakes on a car that came with drums. You're saying, okay, that makes sense, especially as you drive the car regularly enough on local roads, especially around New England and so forth, where you have, nuts that jump in front of you and you gotta haul this, 4,000 plus pound vehicle down in some safe way. Um, but converting like the electrical system to 12 volt is understandable. Like to me, like, okay, that's understandable because it makes it far more, drive. Well, hello, Tom, come lately.
Um,
He said,
Sorry, it was a mandatory family dinnery thing, so here I am.
no, that's quite all right. We just been rambling about, uh, but since you joined, you can have some airtime there, Tom.
Yeah,
We were
that's
just
right.
talking about, finding homes for old
You
cars,
can
old radios, and
you can jump in being the old man, shaking his fist at the clouds and yelling from the front lawn.
there you
Yeah,
are.
I had an advertisement that I wanted to show. I don't know where I put it. Carry on. Oh, I got it. I got it. Oh,
Oh,
right.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. How about this? Can you
Well,
see that?
let me spotlight you here so we get all.
Avoid piston drag.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of piston drag?
no.
It says like Mr. Oil thing.
All right, just for that.
Install perfect circle piston rings
Rings.
to
Oh.
avoid piston drag.
Right. What's in marketing, right?
If I
Yeah.
can make my if I could make my stupid PC work, I could bring something up too.
That's
But
pretty cool, Tom. So
Yeah.
what year is that, would you say?
I don't
Like
know.
Looks like
I've
30s, I
been
would think.
I'm getting ready to
40s.
go to I've got a flea market coming up on Saturday at East Greenbush, New York, and I going through all this stuff and piles of stuff. I've gotten to the point where I put out a dollar table. Anything on the table is a dollar until 10 o'clock in the morning, and then it's free. Oh, look at that. Oh, I like the other side of this even better. Can you see that?
Oh, whoa, whoa,
Oh,
whoa, whoa. Let me spotlight that one in there. Oh, oh, wow. So what's going? Oh, so he's working on the car. He's got some sort of
yeah.
spanner or something like that.
Yeah, it looks like he's measuring the wheel to what do you call that? The toe in and toe out of
Oh
the
yeah,
guy's
doing
knee.
alignment. That's pretty.
He's
That's
checking the knee out.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's definitely like late 20s, early 30s kind of stuff. Hey, there we go. 1934.
Oh, okay.
Service on
Yeah,
the
So you know
1934
what's
car.
really neat about you see something like this, and then you can go on the internet and you can look up all the past issues of Motor Magazine. You don't have to have CDs or anything anymore. You can just get it off the internet.
How
There's
fun.
a number
Eight,
of sites.
April 1934. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
pretty. 50 cents, I think it says. Wow, I love it. I love just the drawings. So those ads are fun to watch, to look over.
Yeah, I wonder what the other covers look like. I am not familiar with this publication, but boy,
Ditto.
if they have piston rings that don't drag, it's got to be good.
Ah, yeah.
Perfect
This
Circle,
the
Perfect
this
Circle Company was around, I think until the 70s. They used to sell them at the drag strip if you were doing engines.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Ah,
long time ago.
that's
hmm.
great.
So I,
So
I was just at my chiropractor last week, and there was a guy I was talking to who was a car guy, and next thing you know, we're just going back and forth, back and forth. And I said, "Yeah." He says, "You don't look that old." I said, "I'm 66, but I'm old enough to remember when sex was safe and you could drive without a seatbelt." Then the whole room opened up and laughed, and my chiropractor turned around, and gave me a look of death.
Good
And
fun.
it's really it's true. I mean, it's we're in different times now. You have to why you're almost walking on glass when you're doing things or interacting with people
Yeah,
anymore.
yeah.
True.
Did you
yeah.
all get a chance to look at that auction that was posted on the internet? And unbelievable number of fantastic radios in that auction. I guess it's an Estes auction coming up shortly. Did
Oh,
you
that's
all did you all see that in the email?
Let's see. Trying to think, did I look at
Oh, the
that?
link to it. I don't think I clicked on it yet, though.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think I've looked at it yet. I've got to look at it.
Oh man, look on it by all means. Just bring up the email and click on the link that to the auction house, and then click on View Catalog. And oh my goodness, there's radios there that just blew my socks off.
Wow.
Several famous collectors and wonderful stuff. I was going to do a set of pictures for the show here, but you can look at it yourself a lot better and take a long time.
So what's the show in New York you're off to, Tom? This weekend, I assume?
Yeah, it's in East Greenbush, New York. It's a typical ham fest, pretty good one because they have some commercial sponsors. We have to get Ross at this one. Have you ever been to any of the Albany shows, Ross?
No. I assume you're talking to me and not
Yeah,
Russ.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, no, I haven't been to any of the Albany shows. I'm lucky if I can get out of here for Brookline twice a year or three times a year. And
yeah.
Near
I
Fest,
know,
of course.
but it's wonderful when you go to a show.
Oh
I
yeah,
love to see you at Near Fest too.
yeah, that's always fun. Near Fest is a very unique experience, and the new location is actually working out relatively well.
Well, you got the ideal spot over there in between the toilet and the food.
There you go.
Interesting, interesting co-location there.
Well, the reason that I picked that spot is because I run the PA system and do all the announcements, and I
Oh,
need to be near the stage. And the stage is in the most ridiculous spot you could imagine in that spot there. But we put our radio station on 95.1 transmitter up there on the stage, and that's where the PA system is. So I need to be relatively near to that in case I need to make announcements or whatever, do MC kind of things.
yeah, that's very cool. I'm hiding under the ladder of the fire engine.
That fire truck is amazing. That's owned by two kids in their 20s. Um,
Whoa,
yeah, they bought that at an auction, and
wow.
they let me go up a little ways on the ladder last fall, and I took a bunch of pictures up from about 30 feet up, and
Yeah.
they were selling stickers for $5 a piece just to put gas in that thing. They said it costs $1 a mile to run that
Oh,
fire truck.
I bet.
it is
Yeah.
wonderful. Boy, what I wouldn't give to put a tri-band beam on top of that thing. You could rotate. Oh boy, what a tower you could have.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yep.
That's cool. Yeah, I assume that fire truck is stationary a lot.
I guess it is. The problem is that at 3 o'clock in the morning, they fired it up to charge the battery or something. I was sleeping right under it, under the ladder.
And that's diesel.
Ooh, what do we got
Yeah.
here?
Oh, nice,
Trains
Noah.
on
Look at that.
Wheel ants.
By
I've seen
Wheel
that.
ants.
Spray
Wheels can be thrown
insecticide.
out of balance by a buildup of wheel ants. Protect your car's smooth ride with weekly applications of automotive grade insecticide.
Oh,
Yeah.
that is
I
Wow.
love these little
amazing.
commercials.
Amazing. Wow. Wonderful.
There's snake oil, like if you ever seen it.
All right. As long as we're gonna go down that road.
Yeah, let me,
CB radio antenna spray.
Ooh.
Antenna spray.
Yeah, it's an actual aerosol can. And it's called Lucky Antenna Spray. I can't see what it says because I don't have my glasses on, but yeah, 3 ounces of prevention, a durable clear resin formulated to protect antenna connections from oxidation caused by weather and pollution for base and mobile installation. Lucky Antenna Spray in the where's my camera here? In its original wrapper, unopened.
wow.
Yeah.
$2.15.
Yeah, imagine that. Antenna spray. I wonder what it is. It's probably just silicone.
Yeah, it's gonna say WD-40 with a rebadge.
Somebody gave it to me. I said, "This is too good to throw away," but I also don't want to open it up. It's still in its original blister pack.
There's a local auto parts store. I think it's in O'Reilly's that's downtown, and they have a jar that they have next to the register at the counter that is labeled blinker fluid.
Blinker fluid.
Blinker fluid. If you get in trouble with your turn signals, you might be low on blinker fluid.
Naturally. It's running low. They blink slower and slower. The frequency
Exactly.
reduces. Oh man, that's funny.
That's kind of a running joke between my wife and I and the family. Like when her Camry needs windshield washer fluid, she goes, "Oh, can you do me a favor and top off the blinker fluid?" And I know
Yep.
exactly what she's talking about.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's fun.
Well, I did a talk. I guess I don't know whether I did it for NEVAC or not, on quack medical devices, and
Yeah,
I
you
guess I
did.
did that.
It
Covered
was
that,
terrific.
yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
terrific. That was fun, by the way. That was a well done presentation, Tom.
Yeah.
And that's on our
Well,
website, so you can still access it through
that's
our
good. I can laugh
video
at
archives.
myself then. It's like Santa's radio shop. I can laugh at myself anytime I want.
That's right. But yeah, we were really hoping you'd kind of self-test some of those devices,
Yeah. Well, I have. I've tested the Russian sleep machine.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. You did show
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Anytime I want to go to sleep, just speak Russian and off I go. Hey, Ross, bring that antenna spray to the next show. I'd love to see it.
Okay, will do.
That's
I only
cool.
wished I had saved the emails that I got into my inbox from when I put up Tom's video on my channel when he was re-ohming the radio.
Yeah.
And he said and people were falling over backwards. They loved it, Tom. They just thought that was a hoot.
Yeah,
That was
no, that's classic.
A lucky thought on my part. I winged that thing, and it just came out. I couldn't resist. And when I saw that 2-gauge wire, I figured that was perfect. Just replace all those damn resistors that heat up the environment with 2-gauge wire.
It's going to happen eventually. TBS or TNT is going to show that right alongside with Christmas Story.
24 hours a day.
Exactly. 24 hours of Tom Ferreira.
At Christmas time, people will be taking down their leg lamps from their window and putting their new re-ohmed radio into the room.
Call the fire department before you plug it in.
Yes.
Right. Well, there is the scene in the Christmas Story. We just plug in and the Christmas tree, and of course see it sparks. You see the smoke. Getting
nobody move.
Nobody move.
That's really, really good to see you in this, Ross. I hope you'll come and join us often.
Well, I normally on Wednesday nights I have a what we call the rag chew net on 28.333 on 10 meters, and I'm usually involved with that at 8 o'clock.
That leaves an hour. You can come at 7. We'll let you go at 8.
Well, as long as I'm done with dinner. The problem is my business closes at 6, and then I usually get wrapped up with cooking dinner and so forth. I grilled some chicken outside tonight, and so I was a little late getting here because of that. And I was given the stink eye by the XYL because I was leaving the dinner table curiously early. And I was looking at the clock because I have a clock wherever I'm sitting in my house. I can look at the clock. So,
yeah, I bet you do.
So we can see. So I will try to get in here more often. But and yeah, Wednesday it would be, or I could even do the net while I'm on with you guys. For what it's worth, a little bit of ham radio infusion.
Sure.
Yeah,
that's neat because it's a lot of fun.
You could simulcast.
There we go.
Yeah.
But
you're speaking of simulcast. Do you remember back in the 70s when WBCN and ZLX used to do the quad simulcast with one of the TV stations in Boston? They would have a rock concert, and you had one stereo receiver tuned to WBCN in the front, and then you had another stereo receiver tuned to WZLX in the back, and you had quad sound along with your television. They only did it a couple of times, but it was really hilarious. But the name simulcast reminded me of that. For anybody that grew up in the Boston area.
Yeah.
Seemed
All
like
those fun.
1973 was a magical year for quadraphonic stereo.
Yeah.
Quad everything.
Yeah, that's why they had 4 or 5 different standards for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I never outgrew Gene Shepard. I just couldn't get enough of him. Holy mackerel, he was amazing.
I still listen to him from time to time. I've got a small collection of Gene Shepard, and I have it on MP3. I listen to every now and then.
Wonderful. Oh, that's great.
And some of the commercials he did were pretty funny too.
Oh, yeah.
What about Arnie Woo Woo Ginsburg? That was a Boston
Well,
thing.
before we drop the Gene Shepard subject, I have his autograph
Whoa, wow.
Wow.
right here.
Did he include his call letters K2ORS?
He did not. This was done in 1976.
Cool.
A bunch of my friends and I were down at Lime Rock, Connecticut, for a race at the racetrack, and we knew that he was
Oh,
going to
shit.
be there.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
So this book is falling apart. This is Wanda Hickey's Night of Golden Memories. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh, yeah. I've got a spotlight to
Oh,
Ross.
yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Great.
Excelsior. Gene
Wow.
Shepard, 1976.
Oh, that's
cool.
wonderful. Wonderful.
This book is all kinds of beat up, as you can see. I stupidly lent it out to people, and it didn't always come back in the greatest of shape. But I said to him, I said, I want to get my ham radio license. And he said, well, get your ticket and get on the air, kid. And I did, eventually.
That's
That's
great.
terrific. That's
Yeah.
terrific.
One of my prized possessions that my kids will heave in a dumpster before my body is cold.
No.
Yeah, Gene who? What?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, they know who he is.
Oh, okay.
We've watched Christmas Story many times, so they know who he is.
There you
Anybody go back to Ernie Kovacs?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Arnie Kovacs was great.
He was a real trailblazer on weird effects. I think that all sorts of strange things. He had a very fertile mind. He would have, there were no limits on it. Talk about thinking outside the box. Holy mackerel.
He was really a modest guy. It's unfortunate he died in an auto accident. Had an accident driving all cars a Corvair.
Corvair wagon, yeah.
Really?
Wrapped
Yes.
on a telephone pole.
And Ralph Nader said, see, I told you.
So Ross, was Shep into cars or racing? Is that why he was at Lime Rock?
Or was he doing the announcing?
No,
Oh.
we ran into him standing out in the middle of the field all by himself. Well, he used to write for Car and Driver.
Did
He used to write columns. Oh yeah, he wrote columns in Car and Driver magazine.
I'll be darned.
Oh yeah, he also wrote, I think, several times for Playboy.
And
I
clearly
think,
he was
uh,
outstanding in his field.
Was it the forum?
But, this book, Fistful of Fig Newtons, was one of his last books that he wrote, and they had excerpts of this in a story in Playboy magazine at some point back in the, I think it was early 1980s. But that was one of his last books, was Fistful of Fig Newtons, and the actual story at chapter 1 was in Playboy magazine. But he wrote for Car and Driver. He was always a car buff. I mean, he did a 13-week series on WGBH called Gene Shepard's America, which kind of flopped. Not too many people know about it. I think you might be able to find it. You might be able to find it on YouTube. But he had one episode of Gene Shepard's America where he drove a Rolls-Royce Silver Shadow the entire length of I-95 from Maine to Texas, and they condensed it down to a half-hour show. So it was kind of interesting. But you would see him in all sorts of interesting cars. But he was definitely a car buff for sure, and he was there at Lime Rock, and nobody was talking to him. So myself and several of my friends ran over and said, "Hey, Shep, hey gang, how you doing? He was and he stood there for a half an hour chatting with us. He was a great guy.
Yeah. One of my favorite sessions with him was the one where he said, it just constantly amazes me that everybody out there thinks that I'm talking directly to them and only to them. And he was convinced that all of his audience just felt that they were on a straight line, narrowband wavelength to him, and that he was communicating directly with them. And he made a big deal about it that night. And some people called in. It was a very interesting show because it touched on the psychology of listening and the psychology of trying to be funny on the air. And both of those, I think he had really mastered.
Yeah, well, what's kind of interesting about that is that, and I didn't find this out till years later. I discovered him when I was in junior high school, and a bunch of my friends and I used to listen to him. We go to bed every night with an earphone in our ear, and we thought, all of us thought that we were listening to an adult program. Um, and I found out actually in 1999 after he passed away, his target audience was teenage boys.
Oh,
And when you think about it, it makes sense, But that was we kids were his target audience, and most of his audience, as it turns out, were all around the New York area because he was out of WOR. What is it, 710?
Yeah. So,
7-7.
And I used to listen to him by delayed broadcast. He used to do a taped show on WBUR FM up here in Boston,
91.9. Yeah.
91.9.
Yeah.
They used to carry his shows a week delayed. The problem was they edited out all the commercials. And most of the commercials didn't matter, but there were, like you said, somebody said here that he did some of the commercials himself. He used to sing along with the commercials and stuff. It was hilarious. So
Yeah.
I threw a wire up in the tree and hooked up a 1955 Ford car radio, the round one with the round dial.
That was a
And
1 year only car radio.
yes, it was.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of them upstairs.
Cool.
They're very good radios. In fact, there were two versions of it. I have the single-ended output version for the sedan and the station wagon. I've got the push-pull for the convertible. But I used to listen to him direct from New York after I rigged that up, and he was priceless. He was priceless, and there's a lot of his shows on YouTube. And not, I mean, it's just a picture of him and the audio. It's
Right.
not
Right.
like it's
Yeah.
he wasn't on television. He was on television for a brief time. He was one of the hosts on the Today Show for a short time.
No way. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
I didn't know that.
yeah.
I had no idea. Wow.
That's
Yeah,
really
factoid.
fascinating, Ross. I had not thought about his target audience until now, and you could sort of tell the things that he chose, the balloon thingies, and they were definitely aimed at young guys who were looking for fun things to think about or do.
Yeah. The exciting news every day in school in the morning was, hey, Shep sang the bear missed the train last night. It's hilarious. Great
Well,
stuff.
he actually makes an appearance in A Christmas Story. He's in the line when Ralphie wants to meet Santa Claus and he cuts in front of him and says, "Hey kid, the line goes back there." That was him.
Oh, was it?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. Yep. Yeah.
Speaking of Ernie Kovacs, I got to show you something here. I got something. His wife was Edie Adams.
Oh yeah, right.
Oh.
This
Wow.
is a stand-up from Muriel Cigars.
Wow. That's quite an advertisement.
Wow, that's neat.
That's
It's
cool.
tall. It's as tall as this.
Yeah, that's a good.
I think I found. I have this song in my thing here.
Vaudeville, a disappearing creature. In the Orpheum Pantages, a theater here in New Jersey, they still do vaudeville. And vaudeville freaks come from all over the world just to watch these old guys do their thing. They've allowed our cameras inside. Here's a little peek.
We heard the narration, but
Yeah,
we can't hear the act.
yeah.
Music. Comes through.
Zoom was taking the music out a little bit there. I think.
Yeah.
I think I played that a little bit too long.
That's cool.
I love that song. It's so cool.
Oh, it's fun. Well,
Yeah,
man,
sorry to be so long, keep you a little
no,
late here,
no,
but
that's quite all right.
such a
It's
treat to see Ross that I couldn't resist.
no, of course, no. It's this is what the open forum is. So I wasn't trying to rush anybody off. I just thought I try to keep people somewhat to a reasonable meeting ending here, and thought but of course, if there's anything else anyone wants to say or bring up before we close down the meeting, looking forward to doing this again. Well, the round robin will open forum will happen in about a month from now, I guess around the first meeting in July. I think I'd have that right after July 4th weekend to keep that clear. But it's sort of a heads up on the next meeting. We might um, we might actually have a guest. I have tentatively arranged. He had reached out to us through Bob. You guys might have saw it over the message over Groups IO, the glass eye invasion about the story about television. The gentleman's name is Steve Kozarev. And at any rate, he may be joining us and tell us about the book because the book looked pretty promising. So maybe he may be popping in, hopefully this upcoming meeting here. And imagine we'd have him on for a half hour or so. So Greg, actually, maybe I might ask you since I have you here and I got to pin you down. Would you be interested in doing the radio advertisement presentation? You sort of like a 1-2 punch.
Sure.
That'd be great.
It's only about 20 minutes. So.
Sorry?
It's only about 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, that's perfect because that would fill a good part of the meeting, and I'm sure I have plenty of other material to fall back. I have even shown a photo from Spring Brookline, so there's always as a fallback.
It'll be a rerun for Noah because I think he saw it already.
That's okay. I promise to keep myself on mute.
Oh no. Jump in anytime.
But
we could do all kinds of advertising things and old radio things. It's like, I don't know. I wasn't so much a Gene Shepherd guy. I was a Dan Ingram and Cousin Brucey guy. And
sure, yeah.
770 WABC, yeah.
Yep. And do any of you remember who it was who was the first to conquer space?
John Glenn, wasn't it?
No. Who was the first to conquer space? Castro convertibles.
Oh,
first to conquer living space. Castro convertibles. Who conquered space with fine design? Who saves your money all the time? Who's tops in the convertible line? Castro convertibles.
Not bad. Good. That's not bad.
Wonderful.
All right, give a hand. So you'll be crooning. I guess we'll have a crooning slot in the next meeting.
Karaoke version.
No, we'll sing every song ever made.
And remember, more doctors smoke Camels than any other leading cigarette.
Oh man,
that's amazing.
Well, it was a terrific meeting, guys. It was actually a lot of fun, very relaxing. And I'm glad anybody, especially people watch recordings, it obviously pays to, even if you're late, to join late, because you never know. You may have actually something to say and we can keep the meeting rolling along. But at any rate, I'll let you guys go. It's 9. It's 11 after 9 here. And so wishing you guys a great 2 weeks. Stay tuned for the next Zoom meeting announcement. And of course, we'll be talking over the normal Groups IO email for whatever topics come up. And if you're lucky, you'll hear Noah crooning us once again for
I watched way too much television. I listened to way too much radio, and it's just all stuck up there.
That's all right. It's all right. You did a more than admirable job here.
I'm impressed.
All right, guys.
All right.
Great seeing you.
Next time.
Ross, glad you joined us. And I guess maybe I have to think about rotating between Wednesdays and Thursdays sometimes, maybe to make it possible. This was fortuitous, I guess.
Thursday nights are always good with me. And Wednesday night, if you go this late, I can jump in after the net. The net doesn't usually run more than a half an hour. So starts at 8 o'clock, gets over at 8:30. I could probably jump in.
Pop in. We're almost always running. It's rare that we end the meeting at 8:30 or before. It's very rare.
Yeah.
We yammer on. We find a way to yammer on for
Yeah.
so there won't be a problem.
This time of year, there's not that much interest in the net anyways. So, I think last week we only had 3 people. So it will work out. I'll try to get in here more often.
Good.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for coming.
Yeah, no,
no
thanks. Good seeing you guys as always, and looking forward to seeing you guys again in a couple of weeks. And meanwhile, enjoy your 2 weeks and stay well, and hopefully enjoy the weather. Maybe we won't get a little less rain, a little bit
All
more.
right.
All right, guys, take care.
Bye.
Blast, everybody.